What's going on? This is City Chapters Podcast. Today's chapter is with Mike Ackermann. I'm your host, Bobby J. We got to shout out Spokane. They're our sponsor for this podcast. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. So if you're looking to get into the podcast game, check out Spokane. They also do 25 other podcasts that you should check out. So Mike here, he is the founder and previous owner of Smacky's on Broadway. He recently sold this premium sandwich shop, which is located off the Broadway Exit. If you have not been there, I highly recommend you do yourself a favor and get smacked in the mouth with some serious flavor, because that's what it's about over there. I mean, I met Mike at the gym, but I've been going to Smacky's previously, and then we met at the gym up at Move on the South Hill. And I was like, oh, you own Smacky's? That place crushes. If you haven't been there, I definitely, like I said, go get smacked with some flavor. So my first question for you, Mike, is when did you open Smacky's on Broadway?
Man, almost hit before the 17th anniversary before I sold it. So November 2nd, 2006 was our opening date.
2006.
But I've been working on the building, on the place for the few months before that. So our official opening date was 2006.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, man. That was right when I was getting out of high school.
Yeah. See a lot of people your age who are coming out who've been customers then, and now they're bring their kids in, and they're, professionals like you, and it's pretty flattering to say, I used to come here when I was a kid. So that's how long it's been there, man. So
that's awesome. So tell us about Smacky's and your original dream for the business.
I've been in the restaurant business my whole life. Grew up in the Philippines, sleeping in my dad's booths, waiting to be taken over from school, or their restaurant over there. And I worked for some corporate chains at my own place when I was only 22. That's when I first started my first restaurant. I had it for about 5 years and sold it. Mm-hmm. Kind of in the same situation where I did now, where I did pretty well doing that. I just didn't want to work the hours in the weekends. So I wasn't planning on opening one, but my dream restaurant would have been a specialized shop, restaurant, or sandwich shop with specialized hours, where I already had kids at that time. I was bartending at CI Shenanigans, enrolled and trying to finish my master's of education at Whitworth, because I was going to become a teacher like I was in California for 3 years. I started my teaching career there as a substitute.
Where were you teaching?
Up in the high desert area.
Okay.
I lived in Apple Valley, California, which is in the high Mojave Desert, halfway between LA and Vegas. Mm-hmm. It was a really cool area. It was all new to me, that desert lifestyle, and there were some rough schools up there and really nice schools, but I enjoyed them.
Were you teaching high school as well?
Teaching high school, special ed, elementary, whatever. They need substitute teachers so bad over there that you almost had
just filling in
of the classes that they had. I was getting up to 14 calls a day. Wow. Because people, especially in the bad schools, the teachers were always calling in sick. So, But anyway, we were doing some yard work at home. And if you're familiar with Beauty Bark, which is now Broadway Landscape Supply off the freeway, I was going back and forth over there, grabbing some sod and some dirt for our yard, and kept driving by the empty building, which was the first Smacky's building, which was right on the corner, which is the Ultimate Auto Care.
Okay, yeah.
Over there, yeah. And that was the first one from 2006 to 2009 over there. And Thomas Hammer had taken over that building, which is a former Shell's gas station, put a bakery in there, which didn't do too well for a couple of years. So I do have to credit him with my start, although we've never met, the Thomas Hammer Coffee Company. So it was all set up for me to go. And over a period of a month or two, bringing my dad there, my wife there, some friends, what do you think? Drive around the area, no competition. I knew I could make a go of a sandwich and catering industrial, for businesses and stuff like that. So it was just happened, man. I wasn't out there looking for a place. It was just popped in. And I remember I was at the dollar store with my girls' daughters buying them little trinkets and little goodies over there just one afternoon. And that's when my wife called me and said, hey, I got some money for you to open your business. And I remember exactly where I was at that time, too. So, yeah.
Dang. That's cool. So recently, recently you sold Smacky's. What what
It
triggered
was a
this or
good
what
time.
happened?
I mean, I've done that before.
Yeah.
I've built a restaurant up before and sold it, and it was the right time. It was appraised at a good value.
Yeah.
Not enough where I can retire as a millionaire right now, but enough where I
Yeah.
get a few months off and take a break. My wife's always been doing the bookwork. She's a dental hygienist. It wasn't for her, two Smackies wouldn't be there because in the beginning when things were rough, man, she took all the calls, spaced out all the bills, man. And it got to the point where she's like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not working
Yeah.
just to pay your bills. And that got to the point where she didn't have to work for 6 or 7 years. And that was the most gratifying. I have 3 daughters. They were all going through school. She didn't miss a damn thing she was there at all times, and I worked and I was still home in the evenings.
Yeah.
Did a lot of weekend caterings and breakfasts and worked all hours. And it got to the point where towards the last couple of years, I didn't have to take those anymore. My wife went back to work. Timing's good. Right when we sold Smackies, we became empty nesters like in the week right after that.
Yeah.
And so she was excited. She did her last payroll the other night. Her days off, she doesn't have to deal with QuickBooks issues or IRS issues and, miscommunications and stuff like that. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And the owner, the guy who took it over, is a good guy. He's been in the business. We're so much alike. We even look alike. The poor guy, man.
Really?
I built a good clientele with Smackies where we give each other crap all day long. And
Right.
he's not there 2 days and already got flipped off because somebody thought it was me. He's like, hey, Mike. And he turned around and he's like, oh, shit, that's not you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Smacky's has with you when you were there, it had such an awesome atmosphere because you're that kind of owner that goes around and talks to people and shake hands and really, I think that's one of the best things that I've always thought about you is you're really good at interacting with others and meeting others. Even that's how I got to meet you at the gym. Is
I
just
think it's a must, man. I think you bring them back that way, and that's one of the main things of the restaurant, man. You can always bring new people in, but it's ones that you keep in there and keep coming back are the ones that are gonna support you through everything, man.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like it's a lost art or a lost, environment that is curated because you feel I feel the difference when I go into your shop compared to a lot of other ones.
I'm surprised I don't see that much more.
Yeah.
It's such
insane to me.
It's such a necessity, I think, in the restaurant business, especially when you open a new one. There's so many new restaurants open that I've been to that first week, and the owners or the managers are just nowhere to be seen,
and if it can't be the owner, it needs to be your management that's really
and then you plug
fostering the.
And they're there to plug the holes, man. You see, your servers are good, your employees are really good, but there's only so much they can do, and you see the holes of what needs to be done, what table needs. So that's why I needed to be out there too, But
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I always enjoyed going in there, and then especially after I got to know you, and then every time I went in there, I just really started to notice the differences of how you run your shop compared to a lot of other places, and it makes a huge difference.
And also hours. Our hours are good enough where I have to be there.
Yeah.
If I was open 7 days, breakfast, lunch, I don't know if I could be there.
Yeah.
But you'd make a point even to stop in. You know what I mean? Even at the busiest times to try to do that. So
it just has that nostalgic feel, the way you were in that shop. I'm gonna miss that part. I'm sure. I'm sure this other guy's great too. You know what I'm saying? But there's just something special about the way you ran it, and like I said, that interaction with you in there is just something that you don't experience a lot anymore. I just was at a place the other day. We walked in and walked out because the service was just what is happening here, yo? This is not. I'm not gonna pay here.
And working in the restaurant is one of the most lucrative. It is a skill in itself.
Yeah.
But if you're using it to get by, as a part-time to pay a college or to support, there's no reason. I always tell people it's like your own business. You are in charge of the money you make. There's no other business like that with your tips. The more people you get back, it's almost like your business that you still have to cultivate. Get the same customers back, just to come see you. And, over a period of time, you're like I said, they won't come in just for the food or for the atmosphere, but to see that person who've had a relationship with. So
Definitely.
I know that from bartending. I was Outback Steakhouse bartender for 3 years, and when I opened Smacky's, I was a bartender at CI Shenanigans downtown, which was still one of my favorite restaurants in Spokane. It was still there, and I kept that job for 2 months doing Smacky's back and forth, man. Mopping the floor while taking my shoe off so I could put my bartending shoes on so I could make it work on time. And
That's cool, man. So you've owned multiple businesses and sold multiple. What is the most important lesson of owning and building a successful business in your eyes? What?
The people you work with and the customers you work with. I mean, yeah, you could say your product, of course. We did our shopping every day. Everything was fresh. I did not overbuy stuff. I always bought the freshest stuff, the produce. And yeah, your food's good, but if you can't put it together and you don't have the employees to put it together with, which means you don't have the customers coming back over and over again. So keeping your employees is number one, because your customers want to come and see them too. And then you start building a trust, and it's a lot less expensive to keep people than to keep training new people over and over again too. And the same thing I said with the customers, you have to build that relationship with the customers.
Yeah, building trust.
And that means in how you're making the food. Yeah, you portion your food out, but still if you put a quarter pound of roast beef in a sandwich and for some reason it doesn't look like that, just grab a little more and put it back. You're going to bring that. You can lose 50 cents of roast beef, but that customer is going to come back because he didn't get a lousy sandwich. And that's when your product has to look like the way you put them on your Facebook page and stuff like that. And you have to know it. And I have to say the way that built it is because this business has gone through the 2008 recession, has gone through the whole COVID crap over there. And it was our customers who kept coming back, and the word of mouth who brought new people in. Yeah, all the time. And even now to this day, Smacky's just getting busier and busier and busier and busier. Yeah. Every year, just because of the people who come in, you know.
I try
it's not
to
your
tell.
Portioning and your money and your advertising and the billboard. You know, it's like really, you know how much money you have to make to pay for that $300 a month advertising. You're selling a $13.95 sandwich. You know,
instead, if you give good service and a great experience, that word of mouth is free advertisement, and there's nothing more valuable than somebody, a friend or whoever, giving that recommendation. A person from who you already trust is like, yo, please. I try to tell everybody about Smacky's if I get the opportunity. If you haven't been there, like I said, and I'm joking about getting smacked in the mouth with serious flavor. I just thought that was funny, but you know, it's like
rhyme too, man. So
yeah. But I do. One of my friends was the first one that told me about your place, Josh Wing, and after I found out about it, I was like, oh, this place is the truth, you know. And like I said, I think one of the coolest things is like, the sandwiches are great, but the experience you have when you go in there, everybody's friendly. At the time you were in there, joshing with people and just kind of
the variety of the sandwiches.
Oh yeah, and there's so many different sandwiches there. It's incredible.
And the whole, the whole area, it's not fancy.
No.
I come into some restaurants, I'm like, how many Smackies you could open with just the decor in this place, and kind of call it the oh damn place, because you get off the exit and you're like, oh damn, what is this place? And you pull up and like, oh damn, what is this building? You open the door, you're like, oh damn, this place is cool. And then you look at the menu, oh damn, this menu's big. You see the sandwiches, like, oh damn, look at those sandwiches. And then you finally try them, you're like, oh damn. Like,
that's awesome. I love that. Yeah. Oh damn. And it is like that, man. Oh, you know what I had? Your Mac the other day. Your Mac,
the Mac salad.
Dude, the Mac salad was.
That's just a recipe we just came up with as we were, making stuff up over there. Same with all the French dips. There's 60 different sandwiches on the items, so the variety keeps people coming back too. You don't have the same menu, the same stuff all the time.
Right. I've had quite a few different ones over there. Ones you've recommended and ones I just wanted to try, and they've all been really great.
And we've had some really good word of mouth stories. We had a couple driving back from Seattle, driving back to Seattle, and they said they were in Montana, and the owner of the gun store told them to stop by.
Oh,
over
really?
there.
Oh, that's
And one
cool.
of my friends I went to high school with was in Seattle waiting for a U-Haul truck to come help his parents move stuff out of their house over here. And the person who we were standing at the counter with, they started talking. He said, "Where are you going to Smacky's?" And the other person said, "Where are you going to Spokane?" He said, and the other person says, "Hey, you got to stop by this place called Smacky's." And they're like, "What? We're in Seattle. I went to high school with that guy." The coolest one was about 8 years ago. The Planters Peanut Mobile was out cruising around, and they pull in our parking lot like they were on a mission, man. And they opened the doors, and and I'm like, "Whoa, how'd you guys get here?" He said, "We were rafting down to Spokane River, and they were asking people where to eat, and the tubers next to us, and the other one said, you have to go to Smacky's." And so that was cool. We got their sticker. They got a dollar bill on the wall. The first. That's another story. The dollar bill's on the wall. So I didn't pay him any mind to it. That was kind of cool. And then 2 months later, the Oscar Mayer Wiener Mobile pulls into our parking lot on a mission. And they came in and like, "How did you guys hear about us?" And like, the nuts told us. Nutmobile told us, and their Michigan headquarters were all the way over there when you guys come to Spokane. So
Oh, wow.
that was a joke for all. Then the nuts started talking to the weenie.
The nuts and the weenies, yeah.
When the nuts and the weenie get together, you got a good thing going.
That's hilarious. Yeah, the nuts were talking to the weenie. Oh, that's good. So what advice would you give to those thinking of starting a business or those who are new business owners?
First of all, it is until you build a following, and in the beginning, that's what's going to be. Unless you have enough money to put aside until you build a following, is of course location. Don't go out looking. I mean, I've seen so many good spots here in Spokane that could be really good that are just in a really terrible location where if they were an open place. So make sure you know who your clientele is and in the area you are. I mean, I can't open an industrial Smacky 10 to 3 into South Hill or downtown. It has to be in that spot or into Sullivan Business Park or down Montgomery off Argonne. You know what I mean? And don't plan to open a place like that for dinner if there's no residences around you.
Yeah.
So that's really tricky to spot. Smacky's just came for what I wanted, but in the beginning it was hard. The first 8 years, until I built that clientele, open 4 hours a day, you didn't have cash flow or volume. And of course, like I've been telling you, your product has to be quality. It has to look good. It has to have the right ingredients. And of course, the most important, your people and your customers.
Yeah.
Once you get all three of that, and just got to work on the customers you see there, and know your business too. A lot of people, hey, you can get more business by doing DoorDash or Uber Eats. I can increase your business. I'm like, I'm a lunch business. There's only a certain limit I have to do where people have to go back to work. Saturday, Sunday morning, you want to wait outside for an hour for a table, or in the evening, you want to wait for your table, have a drink. It's different. But I've got a half-hour time limit, or I got to feed people. The more people come in, the more people I'm going to piss off too. So, know your location, what business, who your target clientele, and keep the people that you have, both working and your customers on both ends, man. So,
on a personal note of business and dealing with business, what advice do you have there, like as far as what it takes personally to run a business and maintain a business?
You have to have the optimism to know that you're going to succeed, of course. Otherwise, you're not going to do it right. You're not going to open it. But you have to have the pessimism to know that you're going to fail. And what if? Okay? And it's how you handle it, the same way what your mindset is. It's all about mindset. My wife had never opened a business. She was with me. My mindset was, okay, I got bills, so what? I'm going to grow up. But her mindset was a business. We're drowning, which we were, if it wasn't for her. So we looked at different people. We were both equally involved on how we did it, but you have to go in thinking for the best but expecting the worst, and what your backup is when that happens too.
Yeah, I think optimism for sure is necessary, or at least ultimate confidence in yourself is really necessary to be successful in business. Because if you doubt anything about yourself, you're not going to have the withstanding to take all the hardship that business throws at you. Is something that I've been learning. So I think having that ultimate confidence in self that you can deal with anything that's presented to you is something that I've been finding is pretty necessary in business. There's not a lot of room for in business, like asking, why is this happening, or why aren't things going the way that I hoped they would, or things of that nature. You have to just get back to like, I have what it takes to figure this thing out, and you can't.
And hope, even when things go bad,
and
you've
keep
got to
your
know
hope.
that your hope is up.
Yeah, and keep your faith that it's all gonna hopefully play out. But I think, being realistic, or, like you said, having that pessimism, that and just really understanding like things aren't going to go perfect either. There's going to be challenges or unforeseen things that present themselves in business, whether it's how much you owe in taxes that you didn't expect, or, different things of that nature.
And then you have to, definitely plan ahead. I've seen a lot of people.
Do you mean a business plan? What do you mean by plan ahead? Like what?
Plan ahead, just in your day-to-day operations. You've got a start of how your day is going to end, and where you have to be, and work backwards, and your time schedule has to coincide with that.
So being very organized.
So if I have a catering at noon, that means I have to leave at 11:30. That means I've got to be back here cooking the food at 9. That means you know what I mean. So you've got to really. Because that will take care of a lot of the stress. I see, I've been doing that the whole time. I get stuff for the day before, but I see a lot of people and caterers at cash and carry running with their carts because they just got there and just got up, and that has a lot to do with it too, man. Yeah, if you can get there and you're a lot more relaxed, and when you're there because everything's set before, it definitely helps a lot too. But and that pessimism also, what if, makes you go through stuff a lot in your head instead of being so comfortable. I got this. You don't want to be that comfortable in the beginning. You want to go through stuff in your head, and almost that, that pessimism, that little bit of anxiety, like what can happen is what gets you up in the morning and gets there earlier. Like, what if this? What if this? We've always had walk-in issues from the beginning. The last few years it's been taken because we finally replaced all the old parts. But I had to go to work every morning planning that damn walk-in was going to be out. And what would I do? So I'd get there earlier.
What do you mean by walk-in?
Our walk-in refrigerator.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Because your refrigeration is your thing. People don't realize that. But and that's one of, when we first took over this building, that walk-in was so old. But we didn't have the money. I was just using the cash flow I had from the first Smackies. So when you took over the new building, a walk-in cost us $1,200 the first run. And 2 weeks later, the whole machine went out. So it was $3,000, which took me a year off to pay. And then even when they did that, it wasn't all the parts. So it would be running warm, and I'd have to throw stuff away. So that walk-in was always in the back of the head. So that always, when I had big catering days, I always got there a lot earlier just to make sure. What if? You got to go through a lot of that when you have that. One of the most gratifying parts of selling Smackies is I don't have to do that every Sunday. I could not enjoy a Sunday. I would not go to the gym and sit and chill, or go to church with my family if I didn't drive there first in the morning and stick my head. I didn't have to open the door. All I did was look at the temperature, then I'd leave. Then I could, and that's the one of the most gratifying about is not having to deal with that stress over there.
Not having that worry. So at this time, you're not going to be doing any catering any
No,
longer?
we have a year non-compete clause. So I'll take it for a while. You know what I mean? We'll see what I'm going to do. I need a few months just to chill my head. My 3 girls are all out of the house, so we'll see. I want to make sure they're settled first before I do that. But it's kind of nice just being able to do stuff during the week. during a lunch period because I never took any lunches off, you know. My vacations were always on the weekend. I leave Friday, come back Monday or Tuesday. It was never a few weeks. Now that my staff was good enough to do that. But my wife came home for lunch the other day, and she's walking the dogs at 12:30. I'm walking around the neighborhood looking for her, and she sees me. She's like, "What's wrong? Why are you here looking for me?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, I just got nothing to do at home. I'm done with
Yeah.
my stuff during the day." So
Oh, that's great.
then going out to lunch
gotta
today
feel
with
good.
some friends, it's a good thing. But I still, being a business over, although the stress is 99% gone, you always have that 1% still. Okay, January is coming up, you know what I mean? So that's just the nature of the,
Yeah.
you know, I think you almost have to have that nature if you're going to go start your own business, you know?
Yeah. Just thinking ahead because, I mean, it's not like you're retiring. It's just you're taking a break.
Taking a break, yeah. And,
figuring out what's
you
next.
know, I'm 58. In a few years, my wife and I will be able to retire. So do I really want to do something that is going to take up a lot of my time, like a manager position or something, or do I want to take something easy? And I don't know if I told you one of the main reasons Smacky survived, and if she's the decor is I love to do stuff on eBay. I've been doing that for 20 years since I lived in Southern California.
Oh, yeah.
And I've parlayed so much of those earnings to buy stuff for Smackies.
Okay.
We're closed weekends every Saturday morning. I'm out yard selling. Even now, it's a bug, man.
Is that why you have all that cool stuff?
All the cool
in
stuff, yeah, and Smackies.
Is
That's
from-
just stuff that I've collected on my own, man, or
wow.
that people have given me over there.
Yeah.
And you see my garage. My garage is like that, but all nice stuff. Man.
Yeah.
So that's how I've been keeping myself busy. I buy and sell stuff all year. This summer I've been buying, but not selling because I've been anticipating these few months off. So I've been doing that. Just
So
for
that's your side hustle.
That's just a side hustle. Yeah.
and
I
you
bought
focus on like kind of not antiques, but like
pretty much everything now, man.
yeah,
Now, and I
okay.
got a
Anything
collection.
that
A
can
guy next door was a Zippo lighter salesman, and I bought a bunch of his stuff. So I got a bunch of Zippo lighters and displays I put on now. I had some auctions. My dad, he loves doing that. He's 85 and he's got a full-on clock workshop downstairs, man. My mom and my dad just celebrated their 59th wedding anniversary last May. And he drove down to a clock convention and took her there in Oregon and came back with 22 clocks in the back of his car that he goes fix up and resells and stuff like that.
that's
you know.
awesome.
So it's a bug. My brother in San Francisco does it, you know, and
Really?
my kids do it with their old clothes to make money for college,
Yeah.
you know, Poshmark and stuff like that. So I've got a
very
garage
good.
full of stuff, man. One of the guys Brandon from the club came over and look at this. And he ended up owing me $100 after he left my garage, which he paid me the other night. Like, come on, let's go for a beer. I owe you $100. Just selling stuff out of the garage. So
Brandon from
Brandon Powell with a beard and the long hair. He
Yeah,
was,
Grower George.
Grower George.
Yeah,
Grower George.
yeah.
Brandon, yeah.
yeah, shout out Brandon.
So he was over
Grown-
there, yeah.
Grow
So I've got
George,
some
yeah.
cool, unusual stuff that you won't find anywhere over there, you know, at a store or online. So, and who knows?
That's awesome.
That's another passion of mine besides food. I might be a estate sailor and auctioneer. You know, I've
Yeah.
really been seriously thinking about that. My personality and
Yeah, I think you'd be
the
great.
jokes I get, you know, the stuff
Yeah.
I could do up on stage and getting the same people back, like you said, you know, like we were saying.
So when did you kind of start that side hustle of garage selling?
Oh,
and
when
reselling?
eBay, when I was still in California, man.
Yeah.
So late 1990s.
Really?
Yeah, you can make a living of that in Southern California. There's swap meets, and your sourcing is every day of the week, man. You know, every weekend they have in every city around you, pretty much. You know, Ontario, Chino, Orange County swap meet, Pasadena, Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Some of them are full on auction markets for cattle and pigs, and they have bars in the middle with tequila shots, and you go out and go do your auctions and stuff after that. But I started doing that. And then just the bug never got. When you can spend a quarter and get $100 or spend $80 and take your family on a $1,000, it's like that one golf shot that keeps you coming back, you know. So, yeah.
Been thinking about more side hustles, and one of my friends, her dad, he buys furniture like at Goodwill or whatever fixes it up and then flips it, you know.
Flips it, yeah.
And
You
I'm
could
like,
do
I
that
got
too.
those skills. Like I could do that easy.
Yeah.
And I've been like, I can make a little bit of money like that, you know.
Yeah, you could do that. And it's kind of what I do, you know, without the
Yeah.
fix, you know, I do fix
Yeah.
some stuff up,
Right.
you know, and do that. So yeah, they're all over, man, you know, and that's why I think where are all the workers at? You know, people are having a hard time finding workers now for everything.
Yeah.
Before the computer age, you didn't have all these side hustles, man. The Uber, the DoorDash, the Instacart, buying stuff internet. You know, that's all new in the last 10
Yeah.
years. So a lot of people don't have to really look for jobs. You know, they're out there
If you're resourceful, right?
doing. Yeah, and that just, we'll see. If I want to go back to bartending after this and do my side hustle during the day full time, and I can work at night 3-4 nights a week, you know.
Got my mind
We'll see,
stirring.
man.
Got my mind
Yeah,
stirring.
there's all kinds
I've
of
been
stuff
thinking
out there,
about
man.
like I got, you know, I
Have
need some
showed you how
side
to
hustles.
research? Have I showed you how to research stuff?
No, but
I'll show you after.
yeah,
how to find stuff.
give me some pointers, man.
And that's
that'd
how
be
I
awesome.
do most of the time, and that's where the fun is researching it.
Yeah,
you
if
know,
I could
so.
turn $80 into a few
Yeah.
K, like sounds good
Oh,
to me.
man, yeah.
Yeah, well, so we were talking about your dad. He's been mentioned a few times so far. But I met your dad one time at the gym, and you both were telling me kind of a history of him and his family during the World War II era. I can't remember the exact details, but can you share
So,
some of that story?
My dad is Jewish, and he was born
Yeah.
in Germany in 1938.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
Good.
And the coffee's stuck in my throat. And his family fled in 1939 when he was a year old,
Okay.
and they ended up in the Philippines.
Yeah. How did they get there?
The
Like, how did they choose?
There's a program on YouTube called An Open Door and a program on PBS called Rescue in the Philippines. And it's all about how the Philippines was one of the few countries who wasn't turning the refugees away and had plans for 30,000 of them. Got the first 1,200 in, which my dad's family and his family were part of a group of. And that's when the Japanese started bombing. So then they couldn't take any more in. So they were some of the lucky ones over there.
So only 1,200?
The first 1,200 got in.
And that
there,
was
yeah,
it?
And that
And-
was it.
oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So,
So
I mean,
your
I'm
dad
sure
got-
filtered in now.
Yeah. of
Japanese weren't religiously inclined, man. They
Mm-hmm.
were, when the Jews came in, they were Germans, so they were their allies.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jews really had no enemies except if they were in the line of the battle. you
Yeah.
know, standing in line. But this is what I was pulling up on my phone already. I was trying to find. This is an actual document that my folks were flipping through the TV channels, and they came up to PBS, and my dad's like, "Hey, I know those people they're interviewing, and what's this show about?" So they were watching it, and that was a Rescue in the Philippines show. Towards the end of the show, they have this actual document that they panned through the TV. They were showing you through, and this was where I took this shot was off the TV. And this was an actual document from the late 30s or early 40s that says to grant the refugees, and it reads, have been placed satisfactorily. Responsible local officials has undertaken placement and support. Meantime of all others selected, period, like the old telegraph form.
Mm-hmm.
Requests that appropriate consular officials be authorized to give visas to the following. And the first name that pops up is Germany, Julius Ackermann, wife, and one child. That one child's my dad. Julius Ackermann's my grandfather. My name is Michael Julius Ackermann. That's my middle name. So
Okay.
my mom's freaking out. Like, that's your dad. That's your dad. So we had to buy the film and take that picture. So
Yeah.
so that's where it started. And my grandfather was a butcher.
Okay.
So I'm third in line in the food business.
Wow.
And I still have his old menu from the 50s in his cafeteria over there
Really?
that I have at home. Yeah.
They owned a place in the Philippines.
He had a deli. He used to make the sausages for a lot of the armed forces for the army, not the base, but it was John Hay. Yeah, John Hay was a base, I think, down there too, if you want to call it that. And my dad said he'd watch him because he couldn't eat pork, so he'd taste a lot of the sausages before I'd do them, and he'd spit them out.
Yeah.
He couldn't swallow them.
Right, right.
Then he had a deli inside of a restaurant that he had. And then my parents had a restaurant in the Philippines too. And that's where I got a lot of stuff from.
What was that?
It was called La Tasca Restaurant, which means the cup in Spanish. And it was a Spanish continental restaurant. One of the most popular restaurants, not only in the Philippines, but in Asia. There was one day there was a 4-star, and I still have his guest book at home too. And I got President Marcos' signature, ambassadors of this.
Wow.
Akio Morita, who's the CEO of Sony Corporation. I mean, there's so many in there. It's a few pages of this, name after name, and bank presidents and embassies and stuff like that over there. And
Wow.
and that's where I pretty much got my concept of what service should be. I mean, you have cost of labor is so cheap over there. You can hire so many people, just someone just to refill water, somebody just to crumb the tables. You know what I mean? And their restaurant had like 130 employees.
Whoa.
Or something. It was pretty big. At the restaurant
smokes.
up top, and the San Mig Pub, which was named after San Miguel beer, which now they're like 3 or 4 San Mig pubs in the Philippines that they have nothing to do with anymore. You know, they sold the rights to everything in the restaurant when we moved to Spokane.
So you grew up with your parents owning a very high-end restaurant.
Yes.
Wow.
Over there.
What was it like growing up in that and growing up in that restaurant and seeing all these powerful people come eat there?
My folks were invited. They were gone all the time. I mean, at evenings, they always come back, have dinner, but they would, leave most nights. Weekends they spent with us, of course, unless they had some really big parties over there.
Yeah.
But no, it was nice seeing that. My dad wouldn't get tickets because of it. I remember parking on the sidewalk one day, and when the cop find out he was the owner of that, he's like, no, sorry, I can't give you a ticket for that. And stuff like that. We had drivers to take us everywhere. We had 2 drivers. We had 4 or 5 maids in the house, man. So
which is pretty common in the Philippines,
it's pretty common
right?
over there.
Like most people have a security guard or a
we
maid.
had a security guard from 6 o'clock at night, dusk till dawn every night, man.
Yeah.
When
It's
I was
like almost like
on,
mandatory in the Philippines that you
get
have that.
a lot of kidnappings.
Yeah.
Yep. I can rattle off a few people. My wife and I honeymooned over there and really good friends. And they visited us in the States. We had dinner there the last night we were there, and he got kidnapped a few years later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I said, I told you, that's how common it is.
Yeah.
When you hear about it, it's something else. When you know multiple people, it's like, so we always had. Even the last year, one of the reasons we left for the States was President Marcos had just dropped martial law because he had declared martial law from 1972.
Yeah.
And I remember that day, too. It was all state-run TV. They controlled it. It was like and cartoons for the kids and him speaking for the adults, and that was it. Then when he dropped it, unions could form again and stuff like that, and there were threats that the 5 Ackermann kids, where 5 siblings, were under threat of being kidnapped, too. So my whole sophomore year was with an armed guard at the house and a bodyguard driver to school, man. And
why?
and
What
back
was
home.
what was the reason for you
just
guys?
Because of money, and then one disgruntled employee got 4 or 5, and they started to lead a strike, and things just started getting.
And this was at your restaurant?
That was at the restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah. That they had.
Yeah.
And my mom took care of everybody over there, man. She sent their kids to school.
Yeah.
Paid for hospital bills, buried their dad and everything, but takes a couple, man,
Now, is your mom Filipino?
My mom's Filipino, but from a Spanish heritage.
Yeah.
Because Filipinos are the Los Latinos, they call them.
Right.
The
I know there's a lot
only
of
Asian
Spanish
country,
over there.
so they spoke Spanish
Yeah.
growing up. A lot of Filipino words of Spanish.
Yeah.
They're corrupted Spanish forms,
What is their kind of language called?
Tagalog.
Tagalog.
Yeah, but there's 3 main dialects and then over 200 different dialects, man.
Yeah, there's
So if
like
I go up
7,000 islands in the
Yeah,
Philippines.
7,600 islands, man.
76. What?
And
That's
only
insane.
a third of them are even inhabited. We would
Inhabited,
squat
yeah.
on them. You go
Yeah,
in your
that's
bunk
what
out, a little boat, and
right.
you build a little shack there, and
Just go camping out on
Until-
some
yeah.
random island.
and then we bring our water and build a little kitchen until the tourists start finding it. And then shit, you got to go to another island because you can't come off. It's not yours.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. How old were you when you moved away from the Philippines?
I started my junior year of high school here.
Okay.
So it was
So you got
after
a
my
good-
sophomore year.
good
Yeah,
chunk
my
of
blood
time
was still
there. Yeah.
my food. Yeah, a good chunk of time. That's where you grew up, really, and that's say that's still home, man. I love, I feel comfortable. My dad was the only Caucasian. My mom married out of her 10 siblings. So we're the only white grandkids. We're the only white Filipino cousins. The rest of them are just, Filipino, who are all over the States now too. So,
that's what was like what was one of the biggest difference about growing up in the Philippines, culture, experience
the
there,
food,
and then moving
first
here?
of all, and the crowds of people. There's a lot. The biggest difference is grass is always greener on the other side. America was exotic to me, and the Philippines is exotic for you, even now.
Yeah.
I like Hawaii. I like the beaches. I grew up in the tropics. I like the Oregon beaches, that cool, wide beaches. I don't care if you can swim or not.
Yeah.
And I love Montana. And I love being cold, warm in the cold, that type of stuff over there.
Yeah.
So coming to the States, first year of high school was just the comic books and the movies and, the sitcoms that we used to watch back then. And I definitely could pick out who the quarterback was, although I didn't play it.
Yeah.
My first time playing flag football, I got just flattened for PE because I didn't know where I was going, and didn't know how serious they were taking it. And, of course, you have the food, of course, and the temperature, the servants. We had to do our own dishes over here. We had to fold our own clothes and stuff like that over here.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
And that's a big difference when you got to do that. The month before
now you got
left,
chores.
The month before we left, we had to bring our dishes to the sink. Okay, that's it, man. And now we had to figure out. And back then, when we first moved here, it was old dishwashers we had to pull out and hose up. Not just now where it was all connected and stuff like that. And then meeting people, I didn't have a language barrier, but I had a pretty good accent where every now and then you'll catch a word or two out that people ask me if I'm from back east. But no, people were really friendly over here from the get-go. I made a lot of good friends, I played soccer and tennis. I played tennis for, we went to Gonzaga Prep, not because my mom's Catholic. So she's like, you're going to Catholic school when we get there, no matter what, man. So that was it, So I didn't grow up with a lot of them. I have a lot of good friends still from there.
Why did you guys choose Spokane? How did that come about? Do you know why they chose Spokane?
It was after my freshman year of high school. We used to come to the States, and my dad would drive every year. We'd stop in San Francisco, fly in there, and we'd drive to LA, drive to Vancouver, Canada. And the principal, Mr. Russell of International School of Makati, which is the main metropolitan area of Manila, went to Whitworth. And he said, hey, drive by Spokane. Next time you come in, you'll love it. And my folks loved it and bought a house right then and there.
Oh, wow.
That we kept for a year. We let the realtor stay there with his little boy and his little girl.
Oh, that's cool.
Till the year we moved back, Gary Barrett was his name. And when we first moved back to Spokane in September 17, so we're here just a few days. Yeah, September 17, 19 years now. I was a food and beverage manager at Old Red Lion Hotel at the Park, and I was flying back and forth to do my interview, so I had a job over here. And the bartender, I went in the night before my interview to talk to the bartender, to talk to the employee, see what was going on, get a little heads up on my interview the next day, you know what I mean? So I kind of knew what was going on. And the bartender said, I remember this family from the Philippines. Let us live in their house when we first moved here. And that was the same kid. 4-year-old kid who's a bartender now who he lets stay in our house.
Wow.
18 years later, we just never kept in touch with family. And that's a small world, man.
It is.
That was my welcome to Spokane, dude. There's a full connection over there. Yeah, small world, man, really. So.
Yeah. Do you, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Do you travel back to the Philippines here and there?
I have twice. When I had kids, it's tough. You just can't go there for a week, man. There's so many things. You have so many people to see.
Running your business, too.
And it's a 24-hour flight. So when I opened Smacky's, I couldn't take off for
for
3 weeks,
I just had some friends go over there. His girlfriend is Filipino, and her parents just moved back to
the Philippines, and him and her are gonna move now over there, probably within a year or so. But they're just
you can live like kings.
Oh, I know, man, they were telling me, and I was like, Moses, I couldn't believe what you could buy over there for the cost. I mean,
our honeymoon
quality
was at Boracay Island, which is one of the top islands in the world, but now it's really overcrowded a little bit. But beers were 30 cents, man, and we were having full-on massages on the beach for $3 an hour, and a moped rental was $3 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, and you hire guys to take you on boats to all these little snorkeling spots and stuff like that for pennies, man. But I don't know how it is now, but it's still the same. I mean, because I follow a lot of Filipino friends and Facebook sites, and they put prices on there, and like, are you kidding me? It's still $10 for a meal for a restaurant, man.
It's
for good stuff. Yeah,
from what they were telling me, because their parents just bought a home, and they're looking at homes, and they're like, yo, you could get a place for like $90K. That's super nice, like a 3-bedroom nice house with marble, like,
oh yeah, I mean,
and if 150 200K, you're like living real nice, like crazy nice, so that's definitely interesting.
And there's a lot of expats over there, man. A lot of people can make a living. You don't need to.
I know there's a lot of people.
And I know,
there,
and you want to be here and make a lot of money and do, just to support your family. But there's a certain point, because I think no matter in the States how much money you're gonna make, you're never gonna have a lifestyle like that, man.
Yeah, that's
you're not. It's all about the lifestyle. With money in the bank, your material things, but if your wife still got to wash your dirty underwear, I don't care how expensive your washing machine is or computerized, you're not there yet.
Yeah.
Man, you know what I mean? When you get other people to do that stuff for you, that's when you're... And the money has nothing to do with it. It's just the lifestyle, man. So if you go down there and you live like that, I mean, your breakfast is set out for you every morning. Your clothes are put for you in the morning.
Yeah,
and you treat them well.
Right,
they're not
right.
slaves.
They're like family,
They were young, and we all had nannies, and I wish I would have brought some pictures for you, but there's one of my friends or my brother's first birthday party, and the parents are here talking on the side, and all the kids are sitting on the floor, and I know we're watching this clown because the only freaking clown that every party that you went to was over there, and behind all the kids sitting on the floor is a wall of nannies, all under uniform for your house over there. Which is good. I mean, the house is always spotless, but also when you're here and have 3 kids and your mom comes over to your house and doesn't realize why it doesn't look like the house you grew up in, it's like, because Mom, we didn't have 4 maids picking up after that, man,
so makes a big difference, huh?
Yeah, it makes it. And you take them because a lot of people want jobs from the countryside. So they're really young. Ramona, who was Andy's nanny, that's what brought me to that story, was 16. Mm-hmm. And she put a school uniform every morning and went to school Monday through Friday, and then she came back and did her duties and did her old place over there. Mm-hmm. And they have 1 day off a week. They can do whatever they want. They can leave, but usually they hang out because, some are sisters. Our houseboy married one of the maids. Rolando married Adi, and when last time I was in the Philippines, all 3 of them in their little 100cc Yamaha with the sun in the middle, all 3 of them on a motorcycle. And only the son wearing an old hockey helmet, coming to see me, man. Just because they grew up with your family, man. So they went through all the traffic, and just to come see me over there. So
that's cool.
When that was,
let's see what else we got on here,
and then being able to go to bars after sophomore year of high school and drink, man, too. While I waited for your driver to pick you, the rules relax and.
There wasn't like a drinking age at that time.
There was. My folks' restaurant was only fancy one enough where I actually saw him card people because they try to keep the riff, out of there. So
no doubt.
Yeah. And then the massage parlors or something else.
I heard. Yeah, I heard it's wild over there like that, man. Yeah, my one friend said...
I've got funny stories, man, with friends and stuff over there.
Especially being in high school, that's all trouble.
Man, I think my younger brother was 15
I would have been in a lot of trouble,
man,
if I had that access, for sure.
I think my younger brother
most young males would have been.
My younger brother was 15 when he tagged along with us for the first time.
Oh, man. Well, this one's definitely not for the kids. Yeah, we've covered a lot of, I think, the questions that I had. So we'll just kind of so you move over here when you're a junior, straight to Spokane.
Yeah.
And you go to G Prep. Where do you go after high school?
I went to Seattle University.
Okay.
I played tennis for G Prep, and I played tennis for Seattle U. That was my sport in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Played tennis only.
Then we moved to Southern California in 1986, so we were only here for 5 years.
Okay.
Spokane wasn't ready for my folks yet, so they went down to Southern California for...
Did he try to open a business here, or?
We opened the business here. They were way ahead of their time.
Was it a restaurant?
It was a restaurant in the mall.
Okay. Northtown?
The Old River Park Square.
Okay.
They had Old Country Deli.
All right.
They had one of the first bistros in Spokane. That was totally busy for lunch and dinner, but it was in a mall. So it just like I said, your placement, you have to be in a neighborhood. If you're going to be for homes, you got to have homes and stuff around over there too. They were the first people to bring Starbucks into Spokane, man. My folks have traveled the world, and they love their coffee.
Yeah.
And they came back from Seattle one weekend in 1982. Like, man, there's this guy roasting his own coffee down in the corner there by Pike's Market, and it's freaking awesome. And we spoke to him, and he's going to let us carry his coffee in Spokane. And so the shipment came in, and they're just regular candy store jars with silver lids.
Yeah.
And coffee in a bag, no stickers, no signs and everything, but a hand-routed wood sign that said Starbucks on it. Probably had somebody make it for him, man.
Yeah.
So 5 years, I moved to Southern California for better opportunities, which they got.
Okay.
And then so we moved down with them. So I was in Southern California for 18 years, too.
For how long?
18 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from 86 to 2004. We were
Yeah.
in Orange County. Lived in Huntington, Newport. Our home base was in Tustin, in Orange County area over there. And that's where I got a lot of my food stuff from. My mom always used to say that there's 4 seasons in America when we moved there. I said, yeah, I know that, Mom. And she said, no, there's salt, pepper, ketchup, mustard. That's it. So you got to do something different. And that's where I get a lot of my flavors from. I mean, the flavors just cannot be plain, man. You know what I mean? So, and Southern California, too, with all the Latino community over there, the Mexican food, every cultural food you can think of, you can eat over there. And that's where I get a lot of the flavors from, too. So, and that's where a lot of my menu items go together. That's where all the different mayos come from. So it's just not the same as any run-of-the-mill place, too. So I have to credit a lot of that, too, with where I live, you know.
In SoCal.
In SoCal and the Philippines, too.
In the Philippines,
so,
of course, yeah.
Philippines, your maids are cooking their food, so you're going to go eat them. The construction sites are not like here where you're getting paid enough to go home and enjoy. You move your family to the construction site. Remember the homes, after your home's built, they're flies for weeks because of everything that, you know, all the cooking when stuff was over there. And then they move on to the next construction site over there. So my brother would go eat with those people, and we'd see them because they'd eat, you know, the really natural, not natural, but a lot of the canned goods, a lot of the traditional stuff. You'd see them cooking like that over there too.
How young were you when you started actually like cooking and like were you doing that from a young
No, I never
age,
really
or
cooked because you had that, but I remember my
you had
folks.
maids and then
My
the
folks
restaurant.
served one of the first to serve a homemade Caesar salad in the restaurant in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And the first recipe I learned to make ever was that. And I still make a freaking killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, homemade Caesar salad, man. So I'm not.
Sounds good.
But no, it's not till I actually, the cooking didn't start till afterwards, man. Even my restaurant in California was all sandwiches. But then I worked for a couple nice corporate chains. One was FRI, which is one of the biggest restaurant companies in the States, Coco's restaurant. And I was a GM for them. I was their youngest GM for a high-volume store. I was only 27, and my assistant manager was like 40 and 35 or something like that. So then I worked for a chain called the Rusty Pelican, which is a really nice seafood restaurant right on the water in Newport Beach and in Long Beach. And that's where I really learned the fish and the steaks and the 12-week manager training program. 2 weeks it was just catching fish and not catching, but receiving it and filleting it and stuff like that. And then Outback Steakhouse too, because when I was with them, they were still one of the top.
Yeah, big
now
deal.
they're kind of becoming into a Sizzler type of place, volume and specials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I remember the quality of the food and the attention to qualities teach you is really what made a lot of the attention to quality over there too. People always knock franchises, and people want to go to school for culinary. You're not going to get a job because you went to school. They're going to start you as a prep cook or a sous chef, as they say. My advice, if you want to get in the restaurant business, is to go work for a chain as a manager, server, then work up to manager, because you will learn everything and get paid for it.
Yeah,
doing that. You know what I mean? They will put you their training programs and
See
all
proper,
the paperwork, all the legalities, everything you need to do, health department stuff. They will teach you all those laws because they're the ones who are most scared, of getting sued because of those laws. So,
a lot of protocols and
a lot of protocols. We had right when I started with FRI, it was right when the Jack in the Box E. coli scare was. And so that changed a lot of kitchen protocol. That was a big event in the food industry. Remember that one? Are you old enough for that one? It was in early 90s.
What was it?
A couple of people died from eating raw burgers at Jack in the Box, and before people were able to order their burgers medium rare. And only now, the last few years, it has come back where you can do that. But that put a stop for that for a long time. So
yeah.
I
might have been a little too young to remember that. But I know that there's been some definite problems with fast food.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's why I kind of like places like Smacky's, because it's not fast food, but it doesn't take very long to get it.
Yeah.
So you can get a really good meal fairly quickly.
Unless you're there during the lunch rush, man.
Sometimes, but even so, you guys keep it
moving.
Yeah. You got a good system.
Well, we've
there.
cut out, when you order a sandwich shop, a lot of people think you're fast food. So they'll call you in the middle of lunch and order 10 sandwiches. And, well, first of all, you wouldn't do that to a fast food place or, try calling Frank's Diner on a Saturday morning. Hey, can I get 12 omelets, man? And they're just not going to do it for you, so, until afterwards. So once we cut that out, we have this catering business. So we try to tell people to call ahead if you have a meeting. That's why you have a meeting, right? To plan stuff. You got to give us the same courtesy. We got to be able to plan too, So once we cut out all the big orders at lunch and took care of the people you could see in front of you, that's when the food started going a lot faster. And people would stand in line even if they see there was a line. Because like you said, the food will come out fast. So,
what makes a perfect sandwich, man? What's your ingredient ratio?
Ingredients and the way you put, it's not the ratio, it's the way you put it together, man. It's pull up Smacky's on Instagram and look at all those sandwiches and look how beautiful they look and they got to look like that when they come out, man.
Yeah.
It's got to be a ratio. I look above it and nothing has to be coming out the sides. Everything has to be put on an even layer so it doesn't look like a pyramid, or you see those fat sandwiches where the middle is fat but the ends are thin. You've got to get that. You've got to put every ingredient. Man, I'm just so damn picky. You got to be there a lot of years before I stop looking over at say you're putting olives on a sandwich. You can't clump them onto one side. They've got to be spread evenly, and olives is a strong flavor, so you can't put too much because they're going to overpower. So there's a lot of things that you got to put together, dude. It's like that new car smell. You can't pick it out.
Yeah.
What's that smell? You just can't pick it out just like that, the flavor. I buy stuff every day. So I squeeze the tomatoes. So when we slice the tomatoes, they're crunchy. They're not soft and soggy. If I see that, you're not getting tomato on your sandwich if that's the only tomatoes we can get. I'd rather have every fresh ingredient than 10 and 2 that aren't fresh, and that's going to ruin the sandwich for you. So people think sandwich. I put enough effort into one sandwich of these guys who think they're Spokane chefs put in their food, man. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. They're making depends on the love you put in it. Doesn't matter what the ingredients. Doesn't matter what adjectives you use, and stuff like that. It's how you just put it together,
Yeah.
You can go to contractor school. Doesn't mean you're going to make a good house just because, you got your license too, You can still be a shitty contractor, but you just got to know how to put it all together. So it's the freshness of the ingredients, the ratio, of course. You don't want to put too much unless you're into those big meaty sandwiches, which you can make at home. Just go to the store, buy a pound of meat and some bread, put them together, man.
Right. I feel like
So and then the flavors too. They've got to be biting into something what they don't expect, like our spicy and wine melt or the roasted garlic Swiss dip, or the Smacky's favorite with the garlic mayo. It's just a lot of stuff nobody else has too. So
Yeah. I mean, you guys. Yeah, have a ton of options there, but I think it's cool hearing you talk about the attention to detail of making a sandwich and how you place the ingredients on it and making sure they're properly organized, essentially, to build a great sandwich. And not too little of meat, not too much of meat. Like, you guys hit that perfect spot because, like, you definitely go to places and they're like, there's barely any meat on this thing.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? But, and then there's sometimes you're like, I can't even bite this thing. What am I going to do with this?
Exactly. There's got to be,
So,
I mean, you can't screw up a sandwich, but you can make it freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
You don't. When Manitou Tap House first opened, I ordered a sandwich, was a pulled pork, and I was looking at it and like, and two guys they didn't like this on their sandwich, so they started pulling stuff out of their meals, and I started putting those on my sandwich. And the waitress, who's a customer of mine, walked by and looked at it. She goes, "No, that's a damn sandwich, man." I'm like, "Yep." Take me to.
You take Mike anywhere, you're going to build the right sandwich. Yeah. That's awesome. So is this your second business you've built and sold?
Second food business that I built.
Second food business?
Sold, yes.
What other businesses have
I was
you
in
built?
an import business with a family for a while that I didn't do too good in at all.
Yeah.
I started building
export, huh?
Import, export, doing the gift shows, traveling.
You
Everything
were in
was
the
on
mob,
credit
man.
card.
No.
Yeah, dude, I've dealt with the mob, man. We used to do these trade shows all over the country. We'd go every January, February was San Francisco, L.A., Seattle, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, Dallas. So you'd set up your 10 by 10 booths or 10 by 20 booths, or how big a company you were, take half the floor over there. Mm-hmm. And then you've got your spotlights and, your basic Home Depot clamp lights, and you plug it in. The moment you did the show at the Javits Center in New York, you could not put a lamp up, dude. You had to call the goons.
Really?
Okay? Yeah. You could not squeeze the lever on a lamp, clip it on your booth, and plug it in. You were not allowed to do that.
What was
that
the
was
reason?
all mafia run, dude. You had to hire their guys over there
to put the lights
to
up.
put the lights up.
Oh, okay.
Other cities weren't like that.
Yeah. They're like, you got to
Just
call
those
our
city,
union.
You got to call every other place you could do your stuff, plug your lights in, but once New York City,
you
want to
lose those thumbs. Put up that
but
light.
that was, I knew nothing about that business. I was building children's furniture.
Yeah.
Going down the hill, we'd call it, to Orange County, coming up to the high desert with my wood, and our shipments from the Philippines, the dry air just dried all the glue and stuff started falling off and warping, and I just didn't know anything about that business. Bought shitty tools and ended up closing that one. So
Yeah.
Is there any other business experiences you had?
Doing this and just my buying and selling, my hustling online and stuff I got over there.
Yeah.
Just doing that. So, yeah.
So you owned, we didn't really go in on that on here so far, is that you owned a restaurant in California.
Yeah.
A deli as well, right?
A deli, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that.
That was in a really nice health club called the Sports Gallery that was there in the 80s. It was right next to Angel Stadium in Anaheim over there. And I worked for the guy as a manager. I was only 21. And when his lease ended, they didn't want him back over there. He would party, man. He was a big coke addict. And he would go out and party all night, and I would run the place for him pretty much. And one day during lunch, imagine walking into Smacky's and seeing me sitting at a table with your head back, snoring.
Just out.
And the owner of the club walked by and said, "That's it, man, you're done."
Yeah.
So I went up to him and I said, "I've ran the place for him. Can you at least give me a month-to-month lease?" And I was only 22. So the owner of the club lent me $2,000. The manager of the club lent me $500. So I started that place with $2,500. I bought his inventory. I had keg of Coors Light, a pack of Heineken, some turkey, some bread, and I sold that the first day. Used the money to buy more stuff the next day and built the business that way.
Wow.
And sold it for $25,000.
Nice.
The lease.
Yeah.
5 years later. So that was my first run. I was young, man, back $25,000 was.
Yeah.
I took 2 months off, did all kinds of stuff, fun stuff, man, Then I started working for corporate America.
Okay.
Back over there. But that place was one of the nicest health clubs in Orange County at that time, before they built the 2 Irvine clubs. The locker room had its own weight room, old sauna. I was telling you about the drinking beer. I mean, there were 22 racquetball courts. So at the end of the evening, we'd pour beer in everybody's cups in the sauna and the steam room. It was just a bunch of people drinking beer down there. And the jacuzzi, the outdoor pool, outdoor jacuzzi. My whole front line, the front line of the LA Rams, that's when the LA Rams were playing there. They were my customers in the afternoons. They'd come in, my Jackie Slater, Irv Pankey, all those guys. And Eric Dickerson, when he was running back, he'd come in. Ed O'Neill would come in. Arnold Schwarzenegger came in 2 days in a row because he was doing commercial.
Wow.
And this was like right in 1990 or something like that, back, right after his prime and stuff over there. He was shooting commercials in Anaheim. He was doing the gym to use his workouts over there.
Wow.
Made him a tuna sandwich the first day, and then the second day made him a chicken salad sandwich. So he came in over there.
That's awesome.
CNC Music Company, I remember, "Everybody Dance Now." That song, they'd come in all the time over there and work out. So it was a fun place to grow up, and it was right next to the Anaheim River. God, no, not the LA River, but yeah, I think it's Anaheim River that runs, splits Newport. I can't believe it's so long, but there's a bike path that took you 13 miles straight to the beach over there too. So it was a fun place. People would drop off and ride out. So that was a fun little spot to grow up in your 20s over there, man, too. So
yeah, it sounds like you.
And I was in one of the first food shows over there on VHS.
That's
It
right.
wasn't even on main TV over there.
Yeah. That's really cool. I mean,
When
it
I was
sounds
25, I had still have the video of that, man. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta keep that.
Yeah.
Sounds like you had a really cool experience in your 20s owning that business.
Yeah, that was a fun business, man. And learned a lot. I screwed up a lot of things in that business, and that's when I did my first catering gigs over there too.
What were some of the things you struggled with in business at that time?
Doing good and spending all my money, man. That's
learning finance.
No discipline.
Yeah.
In my 20s, man. Just going to Vegas. It was only a 3.5 hour drive back then.
You were living
What
life.
are you doing tonight, man? Hey, I don't know. What about you? You want to drive to Vegas? Sure, dude. Let's go. It was cheap back then, and stuff like that.
Yeah. But you're
I'd take my
successful
Friday
in your
sales with me in
20s,
my pocket,
yeah.
and it was mostly cash back then.
Yeah.
Take my Friday sales in my pocket and come back fucking empty. Something like that. So,
Oh, that's awesome. Living life, man.
I remember going to, hey, man, the bank called me. I didn't use any credit with that business at all.
Yeah.
And then the 3 years into it, the bank called me, hey, you qualify for a $10,000 line of credit. I'm like, no, I don't need it, man. We're good over here. Mm-hmm. Then 2 years later, like, shit, I can't pay my sales tax. Call the bank. Hey, how's that line of credit? Is that still good? And I'm like, yeah. Then I learned from after that, man. So,
Yeah, it's hard to, I think, be good with money in your 20s. You got so many things you want to do, and just want to live life.
It was easy to do stuff back then, too. I was going to get married, too. I was engaged. That didn't work out either, but that was a good thing.
Yeah. Well, more like, I guess, on a personal note is like, I feel like I was saying this to myself the other day about you. I was just like, Mike's like the mayor of Move. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, like, you're like people who call somebody the mayor. It's like that guy knows everybody. Everybody respects him. Everybody loves him. You know, shaking hands and kissing babies is what Mike does. You know, and you are that guy, man. You just have such a, you know, great energy, but you also have a strong energy too, you know, like you really present yourself well, but I know you don't take no bullshit either, you know, and there's just like, there's not a lot of older men in my life that I respect, you know what I mean, and you're one of them.
Oh, thanks, man.
And
that's a nice compliment. So
it's important that we have that in our culture, in our society, because it seems like, you know, a lot of older men typically aren't very open to communicating with younger men that they don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't know me, but we openly just met, and you've always been very courteous and open, and we always have great conversations when we run into each other, whether it's in the sauna or just in the locker room. And like I said, I feel like you have maintained something that has been lost in culture, lost in society, and you really still believe in the power of like communicating with others and just being courteous and like welcoming, you know. And I don't know how to even describe it, because you just don't come across it very often anymore, but that's why I really thought you'd be great to have on the podcast. You own a business and your sandwiches are amazing, but I think you as a person are what makes it all really successful and feel really great, you know? Because I definitely fell in love with Smacky's a lot more once I knew you were the owner. Like, I liked it before, but once I got to know you.
And I remember that day when you found that I was an owner. We were at the gym over there and like, oh, shit.
Yeah, and you were like, yo, come in for a free sandwich.
Like, I love the way you handled COVID. That was your first word to me.
Yeah, you kept it 100% gangster during COVID, which I, you know, I thought was awesome.
Busier,
So.
And a lot of that is my upbringing. You know, one of the main characteristics of the Filipino people is their hospitality. And no matter what you read and you talk to people, they always want to feed you. Always. And that's how my mom takes care of me. My grandmother, that's how my mom takes care of my girls too, and her grandkids. And I think I project that. A lot of that has to do with the way I was shown how to treat people. Also, I'm watching my dad work in their restaurant, the PR, and you know,
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And what you give them, their kids come in, you go up to the kids and talk to them. And like the other day, my dad was there, and a guy had a bottled water that he bought and drank, and he went up and was filling it from our pitcher, and I just went, you know, second nature. I'm like, just opened the thing and just gave him another bottle. You know, forget that 15%. 15-cent cost, or hey, that's a cost, man. You can give away. Yeah, that guy's gonna appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I don't know, you have just, I feel like a very giving nature, and that's kind of, I was wondering, like, maybe the differences of growing up in the Philippines and here, you know, that culture that you were raised in. You know, like you're saying, like the people over there are very giving, very courteous, want to feed you, want to be very hospitable. And I don't know. I feel like we're losing that over here, or it's been lost for a long time. I don't know.
We were just talking about that restaurants earlier, the service and stuff. You know, that's just part of it.
Yeah.
So I may, maybe it does translate how you're treated at home, how you serve people in a restaurant.
Definitely. Yeah.
It could. I never even thought of it that way, Could be.
I think our upbringings are obviously, that's probably the most important aspect of how you're going to be formed as a human, because you're just being downloaded with behaviors and mannerisms in that environment. That's where you learn, right? And so knowing that your mom is that way and she took care of you that way, and that's how you see to take care of people, it's just a
it becomes
translation.
Second nature, everybody that walks in, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I know everybody knows you at the gym. That's what I mean. You're like the mayor.
As much as I can't stand the tweakers in Spokane.
Yeah.
And you see them sleeping behind your building when you come into work in the morning. I feel the need at least to give them a bottle of water and a bag of chips, man.
Yeah.
And I'll do that when I see them.
Yeah.
Not enabling them, but hey, man, you still got to
have compassion.
Compassion a little bit. And, he might be thirsty, Until he breaks in, then I'll freaking, drown him in water and shit, Yeah.
Well, what I say is I believe it's very important that we try to understand and have compassion for these people, because we don't know what they've been through and how they got there. Most of them come from really traumatic environments, experiences, family homes that are completely broken, that most people that would pass judgment on them have no idea what it was like, or have never even been remotely close to anything like what they've been through, whether it was sexual abuse, physical abuse, also drug abuse, you know what I mean? Some of these people are born addicted to drugs, a
lot's in the genes, man.
Yeah. And so
you got to have that chemical in your body, man, that.
And so I try to practice compassion, understanding, but I also practice, I will protect myself by any means necessary, so.
Or the kids and the family.
Yeah, the kids, the family, one of my friends, they had, somehow this lady got into their house one night and was basically in the kid's room, they woke up and got her out of there, but what is it's very scary stuff.
Oh yeah, man.
And so, definitely got to be on your toes and be alert,
especially nowadays, man.
What do you feel now that you've sold Smackies? Where are you at now in life?
It's a good break. It's a good, much needed break, man. So this being able to do stuff without rushing, because getting out of that routine where I'd go home because I was so tired during the day and nap, and then not get to the gym till 6, and I get home till 8 and rush through, and always have that feeling like this has got to be, and I got a catering 2 weeks ahead, and we're going to Costco this weekend, but before we go home, can we stop by and check the walk-in at Smacky's so I can make sure it's good for, I don't have to, that's one of the biggest relaxations I have now, I think, is doing that stuff.
Just having a relief.
It took me a few weeks, and I still have that in me. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about the
waking
lunch
up like, I gotta.
But it's kind of weird. As much as I had it, Ben's been with me. He was really good. Ben was there for 5 years, and last Thursday was his last day, and he was leaving on Friday or Saturday. And I saw him at another employee's get-together Saturday before, and I said, "Hey, I'll see you before you leave." So I was planning to see him on Thursday yesterday. Was in driving there, I had a sudden aversion of going in, man. It's like this place isn't yours anymore. You're going to like what you see if he's changed.
Yeah.
Your other employee's going to, what are they going to tell you? So I just text him, man. I don't feel like going in there at all.
Yeah.
One bit.
Yeah.
Not that I'm burned out. I wasn't burned out. I was burned out on a few things, but it's just a different, I don't know, maybe just because I was so averted to going in on a weekend because I thought something might break down, or during the week because you have so many caterings. Now that I don't have to, I just I don't even want to. I still love the place, of course, but
It was just
it'll be a
time.
while. It's too soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll wait for a bit, wait for everything to get done, and
So it sounds like you like, I mean, not like you do this repetitively, but you like building up something successful and then moving on.
Then moving on. Yeah. The challenge is done. It got so busy that the only way we stay alive, well, the lunch is busy enough. Only you can stay comfortably alive and have enough money left over is if you did all the caterings, and the caterings what did it. Mm-hmm. But of course, we got out to a point. Every morning, I'm going in there and making 60 sandwiches and 70, and I already got it to that point. It's getting busier and busier and busier now. I got it to the point where the word of mouth is out, exponentially. And so the challenge is done, man. It's just become repetitive work now, and stress that you got to get it done. So
Right.
I've got ideas for other restaurants, man.
I bet you do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've got some other stuff brewing. So,
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you serve, it's how you serve it, man.
I think that's why you'll be successful.
Doesn't matter what you serve, yeah. And the cool thing about Smacky's was a lot of foreign nationals would come in. When you see the Mexicans and the Ukrainians and the Asian people coming in, because they love it. You don't see them in Asian restaurants. You don't see them out to eat anywhere, man,
Yeah.
But when you see them coming in and bringing their friends in, and they can't speak English, but they're like, don't know this one, point to this one. That's the most flattering, man,
For sure.
So,
I know you're in a good, that's how, for me, I think of it that same way. I know you're in a good joint when there's, different ethnic people eating
over
at that
there
spot.
at an American joint.
Yeah,
You know
for
what
sure.
I mean? Yeah.
Especially that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most flattering, man, that we do over there. So
Yeah, I'm glad that I met you, Mike, and I got to experience Smacky's while you owned it, and I'm sure you passed it on into great hands. I just imagine that you make sure of that.
You're gonna have to go and check it out, dude, and tell me how you feel when you go in there too, though.
Yeah, I will. I definitely will. Did it happen kind of quick with you selling it, or was this something that you?
No, it was something I had a broker for.
Oh, okay. So
I started making so much amount of money in
and
sales, and I knew what it would be worth. So
yeah,
I knew I could get out of it with enough to put away for retirement, because everything went into this business, man. I mean, we lost our house, man, in the beginning, man. It was
gave everything for it.
Gave everything for it. And the house was, okay, we're going to keep it. You're going to get a job. We can keep the house. You believe in Smacky's? Yeah, I believe in Smacky's.
Yeah.
We can always get another house. So,
Yeah.
So it worked out well, man. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And the house that popped up was 2 blocks up the street from us. Charges us half the rent that you can get now for a beautiful house, and has never raised it. So we've never, ever moved. And now that the kid, timing just was perfect, man. Smacky's had guardian angels from the beginning, man. It's the way shit fell together, man. It was, it was ridiculous, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Between them and the customers. Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people that really love that spot, and I became one of them. Yeah.
People been fired and denied promotions because they pissed us off. Really? One guy was smoking in front of the building, and I asked him not to, and he said, okay, and he leaned back and he started puffing on a cigarette. So I opened the door and it was a little sterner.
Yeah.
Next week, the owner of a trucking king company by, I said, hey, Mike, one of your Mike Trovers, you give him a hard time for smoking? I'm like, sorry, dude, I can't. He's right outside the front door.
Yeah.
I'll get a ticket for that.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I fired him. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, he was up there already, but he came in bitching and moaning one day, and he's like, that fucking owner of the sandwich shop, he's an asshole. And Chris said, I looked at him and said, that's the best place in town. You're fired. And that's how he got fired. Another lady for this allergy medical company we cater to, were there all the time too, was gluten-free, disintolerant, lactose, everything you can imagine, man. And and they would order, and they would just order how many people there were, and we made up the food for them. This lady would order special orders for her every day. And one day we messed up, and she made us come all the way back there. And my wife's a dental and do it. And my wife's a dental hygienist, and a few weeks later, she's cleaning this lady's teeth who worked at that company. And when my wife told her that she owned Smacky, she got up and said, "Oh my goodness, I've got to apologize to that lady. I just want to let you know she was denied her position because of that incident over there." So it's pretty cool the power that it's had over some customers just because they love us more than,
Yeah, don't mess with Smacky.
Don't mess, man. He's a monkey too. You didn't say that. He was named after a pet monkey.
Yeah, we didn't bring up that point. Smacky's was your pet monkey in the Philippines.
Yeah.
You had him for a little
just
bit,
a
right?
short time. Yeah, it was a wild monkey, so it was not friendly at all, man.
Yeah,
so,
capuchin or how do you say those?
Macaque.
Oh, macaque.
Yeah, the macaque monkeys. Yeah.
Okay.
As mean as you can get, man. So yeah.
It's been pretty wild to have a pet monkey. I randomly one time at a party back in the day, we were going to this party and they're like, "Yeah, there's a monkey in the back room," and they're like, "Yeah, it's smoking and drinking." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, yo, like stop playing." But then like more people kept coming back from that room. They're like, "Oh, there's a monkey back there smoking a blunt." Like, what? So we went back there and I literally got to smoke a blunt with a monkey back in the day when it was awesome. Like it hopped on my shoulder, had a blunt, it crawled down my arm, picked out the blunt.
Oh, geez.
Hit it, crawled back up. But it was a small monkey, like a spider monkey.
Yeah,
and it got too faded and they had to put it to sleep.
No shit.
It was messed up pretty quick after I'd been in there because he must have been partying for a while.
But time for monkey to go to bed, man.
Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Well, do you have anything else you want to share?
No, man. That was
good.
Good conversation, man.
We got it all covered.
Yeah.
And man, if you open a new place, can't wait, and we can maybe have you back on then to talk about the new place if you get something going.
Check it out,
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Close it up.
Thanks, man. I like that, dude. My first podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. I'm glad I could make that happen. I think you just have such a great story, personality. I was like I said, and I've said several times, like might be perfect for a podcast, man. So, all right.
Cool. Yeah, that felt comfortable too, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm glad you did.
And thanks for the socks, dude. I'll be sporting those. So, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Right on.
Cool. All right. This chapter's with Mike Ackermann. I'm your host, Bobby J. This is City Chapters Podcast. Till next time.
2 thumbs up.